Welcome back to Language Access Academy. We are making fantastic progress on this immersive learning journey. Today, we are tackling the letter N from the AMA Glossary of Medical Terms. There are some very important root words in this section, so let's get right to it. First up is narcolepsy. This is a disorder that causes excessive sleepiness during the day, along with frequent and uncontrollable episodes of falling asleep. Narcosis refers to a drowsiness or stupor induced by a drug or other chemical. A narcotic is an addictive substance that blunts the senses. In increased dosages, it can cause confusion, stupor, a coma, and even death. Narcotic analgesics are a specific type of painkiller that blocks the transmission of pain signals in the brain. They often cause tolerance, meaning you need higher amounts of the drug to produce the same effect, as well as drug dependence. Now let's look at the nose. The nasal septum is the section of the nose that divides the left and right nostrils. It is made of cartilage and bone and is covered by a mucous membrane. A nasogastric tube is a thin plastic tube inserted through the nose, down the esophagus, and into the stomach. It is used to drain, wash, or take samples from the stomach or to feed very sick patients who cannot eat. The nasopharynx is the passageway connecting the back of the nose to the top of the throat. Moving to reproductive health, natural childbirth is a technique of giving birth that stresses relaxation techniques so that the use of pain-relieving drugs can be minimized. It is also called prepared childbirth. Natural methods of family planning focus on a woman's time of ovulation so that pregnancy can either be avoided or conception made more likely. Nausea is simply the feeling of needing to vomit. A nebulizer is an instrument that provides a drug in its misted form through a face mask. It is often used for severe asthma attacks and for children who have asthma but cannot use a standard inhaler. Necrosis is the medical term for the death of tissue cells. When a doctor needs a sample from the body, they might use needle aspiration, which is the use of a thin, hollow needle, and a syringe to remove body fluid for examination. A needle biopsy uses a hollow, wide-diameter needle to remove an actual sample of tissue for examination. A neonate is a term used to describe a newborn infant from birth to 1 month of age. A neoplasm is simply another medical term for a tumor. Next, we have a large group of words starting with nephro or nepher, which indicates a relationship to the kidneys. Let's go through them. A nephrectomy is the surgical removal of one or both kidneys. Nephritis is the inflammation of one or both kidneys because of an infection, an abnormal immune system response, or a disorder of metabolism. A nephroblastoma is a fast-growing cancer of the kidneys that occurs most commonly in children under 4 years of age. A nephrolithotomy is the surgical removal of a kidney stone. Nephrons are the tiny filtering units inside the kidney. Nephrosclerosis is the replacement of normal kidney structures with scar tissue. A nephrostomy is the surgical placement of a tube into the kidney to drain urine. And nephrotic syndrome refers to the symptoms that result from damage to those filtering units of the kidney. Our next major group focuses on the nervous system, starting with nerve, or neuro. A nerve is a bundle of fibers that transmit electrical messages between the brain and areas of the body. These messages convey sensory or motor function information. A nerve block is the dulling of sensation in an area of the body by injecting a painkiller into or around a nerve leading to that section. A nerve cell is the basic unit of the nervous system, transmitting chemical messages throughout the body. Nerve compression is pressure on a nerve, which can cause nerve damage and muscle weakness. Neuralgia is pain along the course of a nerve caused by irritation or damage to that nerve. The neural tube is the tube located along the back of an embryo that later develops into the spinal cord and brain. Neural tube defects are problems in the development of the spinal cord and brain in an embryo. Examples include the failure of the spine to enclose the spinal cord, known as spina bifida, or the failure of the brain to develop, known as anencephaly. Neuritis is the inflammation of a nerve, often characterized by pain, numbness, or tingling. It is also used to describe nerve damage and disease from causes other than inflammation. A neuroblastoma is a cancerous childhood tumor located in the adrenal glands or the sympathetic nervous system. Neurofibrillary tangles are abnormal spiral filaments on nerve cells in the brain, which are characteristic of Alzheimer's disease. Neurofibromatosis is a condition in which connective tissue tumors occur on nerves in the skin. A neuroleptic is an antipsychotic drug. A neuroma is a non-cancerous tumor occurring in nerve tissue. A neuron is simply another term for a nerve cell. Neuropathy is a disease, inflammation, or damage to the nerves connecting the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body. Neurosis refers to relatively mild emotional disorders, such as mild depression and phobias. Neurotoxins are chemicals that attack and damage nerve cells. And neurotransmitters are the chemicals that transfer messages from one nerve cell to another, or from a nerve cell to a muscle cell. Moving on to the blood and skin, a neutrophil is a type of white blood cell. A nevus is a marking on the skin. It can be present at birth, like a birthmark, or develop later, such as a mole. Newborn respiratory distress syndrome is a disorder in which premature babies lack surfactant, a substance that stops the lungs from collapsing. Niacin, also known as vitamin B3, is a vitamin important in many chemical processes in the body. Night terrors are a form of nightmare causing abrupt awakening and terror, occurring mostly in children. Nitrates are a group of drugs that widen blood vessels. They are used to treat insufficient blood supply to the heart, called angina pectoris, and reduced pumping efficiency of the heart, called heart failure. Nocturia is urination or a sleep-disturbing need to urinate during the night. A nocturnal emission is the ejaculation of semen during sleep, which is normal in adolescent males. It is commonly called a wet dream. A node is a small, rounded tissue mass. Similarly, a nodule is a small lump of tissue that is usually abnormal. It can form under the skin or protrude outward. In genetics, non-disjunction is an error that occurs during the division of sex chromosomes, causing either too much or too little genetic information to be placed in an egg or sperm when it is formed. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is any cancer in lymphoid tissue, found mostly in the spleen and lymph glands, that is not Hodgkin's disease. Non-insulin-dependent diabetes is a type of diabetes mellitus that occurs mainly in overweight individuals over 40 years of age. It is usually treated with diet changes and drugs that increase production of insulin by the pancreas. It is also known as type 2 diabetes mellitus. When a medical procedure is described as non-invasive, it means it does not enter or penetrate the body. It also refers to non-cancerous tumors that do not spread to other sections of the body. A non-narcotic analgesic is a drug that relieves pain by blocking the production of chemicals that stimulate pain-sensing nerves. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are a group of drugs that relieve pain and reduce inflammation. Norepinephrine is a hormone that regulates blood pressure by causing blood vessels to narrow and the heart to beat faster when blood pressure drops. The Norwalk virus is a virus that causes acute gastroenteritis. A nosocomial infection is an infection acquired in a hospital. You will frequently see the abbreviation NSAID. This stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, which we defined just a moment ago. At the cellular level, nucleic acids are substances found in every living organism that provide the instructions for development. This includes DNA and RNA. Nucleotide bases are the molecules that form those nucleic acids. The nucleus is the center or most important point of an object, often referring to the center of a cell. Numbness is the lack of sensation in a part of the body because of the interruption of nerve impulses. A nurse midwife is a registered nurse who specializes in the care of a mother and child during pregnancy, labor, and delivery. A nutrient is any substance that the body can use to maintain its health. And finally, to close out the letter N, we have nystagmus, which is the persistent, rapid, involuntary movement of the eyes.